Okay, at the last minute, I decided to make this video, so it's kind of just put together real fast. Because I recognized that I already talked about this already. Okay, I basically already talked about this stuff, but I'm gonna add extra information. But there is a connection between these baskets and Easter, because you collect eggs in this basket. So, and then I realized that other Christians already made that connection. So I was like, okay, if they did it, I'll do it too. Because I'm not exactly promoting you that you go Easter egg hunting and put rabbits everywhere. Okay. Because overall, that's kind of just a distraction from Jesus. Just like Santa Claus during Christmas. You know, it's a distraction. I don't personally care if Christians celebrate Easter, the resurrection of Jesus on Easter. Okay, some Christians don't. They get really, they split hairs about timing and stuff like that. If you celebrate Jesus on every day, you should celebrate Jesus every day, not just on Easter or just on Christmas. Okay, you should celebrate Jesus every day anyway, even on Easter. So, but yes, overall, Easter Bunny is a distraction from the real meaning, right? Okay, I'm gonna talk about that, but I am gonna make a connection between Easter eggs and a little bit of rabbit stuff, and I'm gonna bring up angels again, okay? Because there's always a connection with the angels, okay? And with Christians, okay? So, as discussed in that video, you're gonna see a bunch of humanoid beings that look like they look like angels or gods, okay? They're messengers, and they carry baskets, okay? And what does it represent? It can represent lots of things. It doesn't matter because God uses all of it. You collect wisdom, and you collect things in the basket, and then you disperse it to everyone else. It's about collecting what these messengers are collecting wisdom and giving it to everyone else. And God calls his people these messengers, okay? God literally tells you to collect wisdom from the nations and gather them in a nest. The nest and the basket are the same thing, okay? God tells you to do that, okay? You can make Easter egg hunting a real thing in Christianity, but it's not about you literally hunting literal eggs, okay? Some people have made that connection. It sounds like Easter stuff. And God even hid... Even if it's to expose the devil, you can, okay, obviously. You can go study other religions and other nations and actually get really bad information, at least to expose them for being evil. But sometimes the information is a little bit of truth comes out, too, okay? You can still make it clean sometimes, okay? So that's why God tells you to go study other nations. You're supposed to, as a Christian, but the thing is, everyone studies all this information, but they don't have the Holy Spirit. They don't have discernment, so their information is rotten, okay? And God brings that up again. People who gather rotten information and disperse rotten information, they're called dragons, okay? They're called cockatrices. A cockatrice is actually a combination of a dragon and a chicken. A cockatrice is a chicken dragon, okay? And it's about giving bad information, dispersing evil things to everyone else. You know, there's a good version and a bad version. And, you know, you might wonder how over time we get these holidays. It's because over time people combine a bunch of stuff together from different religions, and we come up with the weird mishmash that we have now is known as the holidays, okay? It's not just coming from one religion. It's a combination of many, many things. Yes, there are lots of pagan religions that link rabbits with fertility. Okay, there's lots of rabbits and fertility linked together. That's probably how we got rabbit stuff, okay? And rabbits don't lay eggs, but eggs represent fertility, and they represent rebirth. They represent being born again. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. They represent rebirth, okay? Eggs. Because Christians, you can totally add that into Christianity. Because, like birds, okay? Birds, chickens, you know, they lay eggs. And then a baby comes out, okay? That's born again stuff. Because they get born twice. You come out of the mother, and then they come out of the egg. You can get born twice, okay? But the problem is there's always a bad version of that. Because snakes lay eggs, don't they? They're also born twice, okay? Everyone gets born again in their afterlife. You're either going to go to heaven or hell, though. Everyone gets born on earth, They get put on Earth by their mother, but then they get sent somewhere else. They get born again, okay? You're either gonna go to get born, you're either gonna be breaking out of that cockatrice egg, or you're gonna be breaking into the God's egg. You can say it like that, okay? You know, I mean, there's born again stuff, but everyone gets born twice, technically, okay? And yes, you can definitely, I say born again as a Christian first. That's how you go into the good part, right? All right. And so yeah, there's lots of born again, and there's resurrection stuff with many different legends about Easter and eggs and some rabbit stuff. That's probably how we got it now. Okay, but there's something I want to add on to this. I'm sure some of you already even know all that stuff many times. Okay, but I want to bring up something. These angels / gods holding baskets over time just became these rings. Okay, see these gods and men with wings holding baskets. Over time, it just became them holding rings. Okay, so a snake coming out of a ring and a snake coming out of a basket is the same thing. Okay, because even in Hebrew, these rings represent a basket. Okay, and we're gonna use that to expose my favorite thing to expose, which is the Catholic Church. Okay, you can literally see a snake coming out of a basket, which is it's evil stuff, right? It's got about information. It's about being born again through Satan, because you're gonna go to hell, aka hell. But you can literally see the ring and the snake coming out of the basket with the Catholic Church, the Vatican. Okay, is it a coincidence? No. These rings, that's an Axis Mundi point. You can literally see the snake coming out of the basket with the Catholic Church. Okay, because they're going to make you born again through the egg, the cockatrice egg. You're going to be sent to hell, aka. You can totally use that stuff, okay? So God isn't just talking about some weird stuff that you can't see right now. And you know, those rings represent a bunch of things. They represent a portal. There's a whole bunch of traveling metaphors, which I already talked about in that video. So I'm not going to go over it too much again. But then I just found this picture of this bunny traveling in those rings. Having those rings, okay? Which is still the same thing, okay? It's just weird. It's a weird connection with Easter stuff, right? And you know, and you can make some of it good. Like, there's a lot of fertility goddess stuff going on. You can say the bride of Christ and Christians are a fertility goddess, even though you're not supposed to call yourself a god. Okay, I know that. But Christians are supposed to be a fertility goddess. They're supposed to give birth to more born-again Christians. Symbolically, okay? Right? You can call Christians and the bride of Christ a fertility goddess. If you can clean it up a little bit. Okay, but no, you're not supposed to call yourself a god, though. Okay, you can make some of this information good if you really want to. Okay, but no, I don't really believe in Santa Claus. I don't think Christians should be doing too much Santa Claus stuff or Easter Bunny stuff. Okay, I don't like the Easter Bunny. Okay, the only way you can even say it's good if you just say it just means Christians need to spread wisdom about the Bible and God. And make more born-again Christians. And make them born into heaven. That's the only way you can make it good. Alright? Anyway, that was just a quick video. Again, I already talked about that in that video. But I wanted to bring up the Easter connection. To collecting eggs in a basket. And the Easter Bunny. Fertility. And reborn. Rebirth stuff. You know. Good and bad versions. Alright. Anyway. So please think about this, guys. And thank you.